Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh, Shem, Al-Shai, Shem, Rukakodah, Shalom to the 144,000 rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Try to make this super quick. Anyway, I'm going to title this video, IUIC breaks down Daniel chapter 8, two different ways, which they're going off. So anyway, in the previous videos, which is being premiered right now, if you watch the rest of this video, you see what I'm talking about. But right here, okay, I might have to go further back, but I believe it's right around here where he goes into Daniel. Let me see something. Then he makes a statement about the mark, and he said, I think he said Paul used the word mark, which means sin, and mark in Revelation 13 and 16 means sin. It's just another way of saying sin. Well, all you had to do is go to the Greek word, which is charagma. And charagma is not a sin. It's an actual thing. Yeah, a noun, if you will. So let me let you listen. Then I'm going to go to the video that was put up, I don't know, 9 months ago maybe, by one of the teachers of the IUIC. And he breaks it down the correct way. Daniel 8, at least the part with the little horn is definitely talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, but he says something different. He says, like I taught on previous videos, Daniel 8 took place. Daniel 8 from verse 1 to the very last verse took place. There's no future prophecies found in Daniel 8, 9, 11 that's going to take place now. He's saying that Daniel 8 applies to now. So let's listen.
Who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonder.
His science is a lying wonder. Go ahead.
And with all deceivableness of.
Wait a minute. He said his science is a lying wonder. So isn't a chip part of science? Huh?
And with all deceit of sin. Y'all see that? With all deceivableness of unrighteousness means deceit of sin. Go ahead.
In them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause.
So a certain remnant of our people says, because we receive not the love of the truth, which is keeping the commandments in the faith of Christ. We didn't receive that. Go ahead.
And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie.
That they should believe a lie.
Yeah, like the MOTB being sent in all of its forms, whether it be political or religious, that's a lie. So you're gonna have people that's gonna receive a strong delusion that they shall not receive the truth, that they shall receive a lie instead. So he's pushing out a lie. He's clearly pushing out a lie. We've been saying from the beginning of YouTube, before we got on YouTube, the MOTB is the micro C-hip. He's saying it's something different. Let's listen.
That they all might be damned.
That they all might be damned.
Who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness.
So now I want you to look at this. Look at verse. I want you to look at 10. Look at the words. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness. In other words, you're breaking the commandments. Y'all understand that? Look at verse. It says they receive not the love of the truth. They receive not keeping the commandments. They did not receive faith in Christ. Then look at verse 11. God sends strong delusion.
The newcomers of the Gentiles that came into it, they didn't throw the commandments on them. Okay? Read Acts chapter 15, the whole chapter, and read, just to give you two, read Colossians 2 verse 16 on down. Or Galatians 3, the first 2-3 verses. Paul condemns them for telling people that you got to keep this law and that law. Ultimately, you got to keep laws. The only ones he put pressure on them to keep the law were the Jews, the circumcision, not the uncircumcision. They didn't they said, here you are, you're an Israelite now, keep all these 600 plus laws. Didn't do that. Read Colossians 2:16. So when somebody comes in, you don't put the law on them. You tell them that they're Israelite. You tell them that this book is for you, that the Lord is not coming for the other nations, but only for you. And then you slowly start, then you tell them, explain to them the Sabbath, explain to them this. And when they come in, you might, a guy says, I believe I'm an Israelite. You might be having the Passover 2 weeks from now. You don't say, well, come to the Passover, because you don't know if this guy's going to take this thing serious, man. And where he keeps the Passover unworthily. So it might be a year. And when I came in in April, and they had that Passover 2 weeks, so I didn't keep the Passover. But that next year, so it took me a year. When that first Passover came, I was ready for it, you know?
Conclusion that they should believe a what, brothers? A lie. Then look at verse 12. What did they have pleasure in? Unrighteousness. So when it talks about Revelation 13, go back there again. What I want y'all to see is that it's talking about the same thing. Read that in Revelation 13. I believe it was verse 15 and 16.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 15.
No, let me just hit 15. 15 and 16. Yeah, 15 and 16.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
That's not the image of the beast. That's not the image of the beast. The image of the beast is the pagan Roman system. That's why you have presidents, which back then they were called Caesars. The word president just means the first. You had the first family. The Romans had the first family too, the first premiers.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
So based on Job 10:14 that we read earlier, the mark is what, brothers? It's going into sin. Which goes back to in Thessalonians, it uses the words unrighteousness. Verse 11, a lie. Verse 10.
Romans 16, was it 17 and 18 say, fair words and fine speeches to deceive the heart of the simple. Everybody that's under Bishop Nathaniel are simple-minded, man. They're simple-minded. He's speaking like a well-trained used car salesman. You know, he'll have you ride off in a hoopty and shit, and he got you thinking that you're riding off in a goddamn Mercedes. He's sweet. He's fast talking.
It said, receive not the truth. Verse 10 again, deceived with unrighteousness. It's all sin. It's sin, sin, sin. Paul is just using different words. In Revelation, he used a different word. He said, I'm going to use the word mark. You got the mark. That's
so he's saying that he used a different word. You got the mark. No. The word, all you have to do, like you did 20 plus years ago, when you broke down the name of Yahweh and his son. Now let's go to this book, and let's go to the Hebrew, and let's go to the Ben Yehudi, and let's go to this book right here. And you can see this word Yahweh, and his name is Yahweh Shai, and you can see it. And those people back then knew it. Anyway, so all you have to do is not say, well, Mark is just a different way of saying sin. Look up the word. The original, the King James New Testament was translated from what? The Greek. There's a term, and the term is lost in translation. Sometimes when you write something and you write it in another language, people don't understand what that means, so you got to tweak the words to make them understand it. There's certain things that you say in a certain language that when you say it word for word in English, it doesn't compute, you know? It means lost in translation. So when you read the Old Testament, the New Testament, and sometimes you don't understand, you want to get a deep understanding, you have to go back to the original, which is the Greek. Okay? Or in the New Testament, you had certain words you come across, like in Habakkuk 2, where it says, laden with thick clay. The 7 used to say that's talking about clay is red. No, some clay is gray. It's different colors. Some clay is brown. Okay? Clay is red, so that's talking about Esau. They went off. The 7 went off. That word there is Ibatyat, which means depth. So we know that Habakkuk 2 is talking about America, laden with great depth. That's why you got to go. You're not deep. You can sound. He sounds deep. He sounds deep, and I give him credit. He does. They say a lot of good things, but they go off on certain things. It's like if you're going from New York to Canada, you might be going. What do you take? Eventually you'll hit 90. I think if you take 87 from New York to 84, and I believe it leads to 90 because we drove up to Canada many years ago, and I believe the last route is 90. So let's say you get all the way up to Route 90, which is in what is it, Buffalo, whatever, by Niagara Falls, and you make a wrong turn. Guess what? All that traveling you did was in vain. Now you got to backtrack. So he's driving the car. He's driving the car for good. 9 hours we've been driving, yeah. But then you make that one turn, and you go an hour out, then you're lost. You understand? So this is this individual does.
That's what he's talking about. And in order to force that mark, they have to be able to control your buying and selling. Then we can force you to do what we want.
Now he said that what is the mark? The mark is sin, right? So they got to force you to sin. So is the mark here? That's the question for the IUIC. Is the mark here? Let's say the mark is here. Does he buy and sell? Yes. Does his people around him buy and sell? Yes. Do the women buy and sell? Do they buy stuff that they got to eat? They got to pay rent? They buy and sell, right? More buying than selling, which means transaction. You go to BJ's, you go to Costco's, you go to Target's. You're buying and selling. So he's saying you can't buy and sell unless you take the mark, and the mark is sin, and it's a picture of Caesar Borgia. If I go to BJ's, they would have a picture of Caesar Borgia looking down at me, and they would say, have you sinned today? If you say, no, I didn't sin, well, you can't buy today. Go and sin and come back, and then you can buy. Then you go for an hour, you commit adultery or whatever, you steal a hubcap, and then you say, yes, I sinned. What sin have you committed, my son? I committed the sin of stealing a hubcap. Okay, now you can buy that. We had to put to the side. Do you see how? But these people that follow under Bishop Nathaniel, their minds are not open. And that includes Kanai, which he's a special kind of evil. That includes a simple-minded Yawasop, which Yawasop, he's a sincere brother. I shouldn't have said that. But he's simple-minded. This man put a spell on him. He took a magical wand and cast it over all their heads. That's why he's got to keep bringing it up. Because you got window shoppers out there. Come on.
That's the plan. That is the agenda. What verse is that, Yuri?
That was verse 16.
Okay, I'm in Thessalonians. You finished Thessalonians? You went to 12, right? Yes. Go back to Daniel. Go back to Daniel.
And I believe you had these this PR firm taught him how to speak. Check out what's her name? Harris, Kamala Harris. They had all kind of things of her laughing. Every time she say something, she would laugh or cackle, right, like a hyena. If you notice, when she's saying these speeches now, she's making the speeches now, she ain't laughing no more. You know why? Because the people behind her, they're trying to bring out a new image, more presidential. They said, look, no more laughing, no more laughing. And this is what you're going to say. Study the script, study it well. And then when you make your speech, we're going to have the idiot board out there, which is the monitors, so you can read it. So they're just making her. They're just creating this. She's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know? Which she's not. She's just another puppet. That's all she is. And I can't believe how many people are so into this election thing, and they just playing you motherfuckers, man. Hey, this guy would be a good politician. You put a 3-piece suit on his ass, you know, he can run for senator. I couldn't. I'm not a eloquent speaker. I just speak. I just say things like if I speak to somebody normally and I hit the scriptures, I'm going to say it the same way. I'm not going to attempt to sound like Alexander Scorby. You don't know who Alexander Scorby is? Look him up. He read the whole Bible. Look up. I don't try to speak like Alexander Scorby. I speak the way I speak. I speak from the heart. Sometimes I curse. Why? Because it's from the heart. Alexander Scorby would never curse. The bishop would never curse. Because that's not part of his idiom. Look that word up.
And 25.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper.
So his policies goes into his laws and legislation. We need to create a system to force them to worship our new religion.
So now, you heard what he said. You can bring it back. He's going to Daniel 8:25, which is referring to Antiochus Epiphanes. But he's saying it like this is happening now. This guy in Daniel 8:25 is alive now, and he's using, no, Daniel chapter 8 took place already, more than 2,000 years ago. We're talking, we're talking about 2,200 years ago, give or take a year, 10 years.
Well, how are we going to do that? If we can control what they buy and sell, we can make them the knee.
So you hear how his voice goes up, and his voice, he's been trained to speak that way. So he's using Daniel 8 verse 25, which has nothing to do with Revelation chapter 13 at all. And he's saying that this guy in Daniel 8:25 is a guy that's going to deceive you guys. No. Antiochus Epiphanes is long dead. Okay?
Go ahead, read it again, Yuri.
And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
What is that talking about, y'all? It's talking about when Antiochus Epiphanes was alive, when Judas and Maccabees was alive, when the Israelites that were being Hellenized were alive. That's what it's talking about. We're talking over 2,000 years ago. Daniel 8 verse 25 has nothing to do with what is happening now.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace.
Who shall magnify himself in his heart? Antiochus Epiphanes, that came out of the line of the Seleucid dynasty.
Shall destroy many.
Remember, the world religion was about having peace, worldwide peace. It said, and by peace shall destroy many. Why? Because when the Lord come back, he's going to destroy everybody. That peace is going to get people killed, slaughtered, destroyed.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes.
That's the part I wanted right there. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. When you read commentaries, they say, oh, this is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. It's not.
Did you hear what you heard what he said, right? You heard what he said, right? I got it. This is at 3 hours, 1 minute and 37 seconds in. So he'd been going to the commentary. What commentary do you think he went to? The same commentary that I go to. Because he's watching my videos. He said, yeah, it's hard, man. We going to them commentary. I'm going to go to the commentary too. But then he went to that commentary. He didn't like what was said. He said, that ain't talking about that. Let me bring this back. This man is nothing but a glorified used car salesman.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes.
And they eating him, and the congregation eating this shit like candy. Oh, this man is deep. Oh, this man is deep. Oh, he's so. Oh, God gotta be working with him. As Deacon Malachi, God.
That's the part I wanted right there. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. When you read commentaries, they say, oh, this is about Antiochus Epiphanes. It's not. Antiochus Epiphanes, although he was real, is a allegory for Babylon the Great as well. Okay, read that again, Yuri.
And through his policy.
No, that's taught. What you're reading right now, let me bring it back again.
Is a allegory. Oh, this is about Antiochus.
The prince of princes.
That's the part I wanted right. Going to get people killed, slaughtered, destroyed. Yuri?
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes.
That's the part I wanted right there. He shall.
How do you stand up against the prince of princes? He defied the Lord by defiling the temple. Now Yahweh Shai got to be a part of this. You a heathen. You're uncircumcised dog. You had no business going up in there. And one of the things that they did was put a pig up in there. So the Most High, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai said, now we're gonna take this man out.
Also stand up against the prince of princes. When you read commentaries, they say, oh, this is about Antiochus Epiphanes. It's not.
It is. It's talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. And the commentaries were 100% correct.
Antiochus Epiphanes, although he was real, is a allegory for Babylon the Great as well. Okay.
So you're saying that Daniel 8, verse 25 on down, 26, 27, is really talking about what's happening now. And Daniel 8, 25 goes hand in hand with Revelation 13, 15 to 16. No, it does not.
Okay, read that again, Yuri.
And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And
these people are not going to buck up against it because he's got a spell on them. They got a song, I got a spell on you because you're mine.
He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace.
Now remember, see that part? He shall magnify himself in his heart. I know y'all forgot. Because Antiochus means what? Epiphanes means what, brothers? Now, it said he shall magnify himself in his heart, right? So the scholars go, see, that's the proof. Yuri, go back to 2 Thessalonians 2, which is way after Antiochus Epiphanes.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 4.
Yes.
Who opposeth and exalteth himself.
Now I'm going to show you that, was it 9 months ago, that one of the brothers, captains, whatever, I don't know the brother's name or the captain's name, but he goes into the same Daniel 8 and he says it's talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. He didn't say it's talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. It's a picture, typifies Antiochus really means no. So they're really not organized. They look organized. You know, you march, you wear the same clothes, you look organized. These guys are not organized.
Above all that is called God or that is worshiped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
That's magnifying himself in his heart. Y'all see that? Let's go back to Daniel 8:25 again.
Yes, sir. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
So the prince of princes is Christ, but he shall be broken without hand. Give me 2 Thessalonians 13. IT, can y'all put the images up? Second.
What does it mean he shall be broken without hands? That means he's going to get that stomach, parasites in his stomach that's going to overwhelm him. And he's going to die right there in the midst of his men.
2 Thessalonians 13 and 9, please. I'm sorry. 2 Esdras. I apologize. I'm thinking about these guys back here ain't on the page with me. 2 Esdras 13 and 9. I'm sorry. 2 Esdras 13 and 9 to explain, he shall be broken without hand.
2 Esdras chapter 13 verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
Wait. Yuri, hold that. Now go back to
2 Esdras 13 verse 9 has absolutely nothing to do with Daniel 8:25 on down. When it said he shall be broken without hands, meaning, and the commentators got it right. I know if I go to it, matter of fact, I am going to go to it. But this man speaks like a politician. He should run for office. He can be president if he wanted to. He's a better speaker than Kamala Harris. He should be Kamala Harris' running mate. Let me see here. Let me go to Daniel 8 and 25. Let's go to 25. 25. By his cunning, let me go to 26. The vision of the evening and the morning. Let me go to 27. And Daniel overcame I'm sorry. Let me go back to 25. 25. We'll go to Cambridge. Okay, let me do this. Okay, it says, and through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, and shall be broken without hands. I'm going to try to go right to the point. Right, okay. The prince of princes and the Lord, let me see. Broken without hands. Let's see what they say about this. I.e., not by human means, but by divine intervention. Daniel 2:34. With the note, Antiochus died suddenly. When you go to the Apocrypha, I'm surprised they didn't put the Apocrypha in there. BC 164, a few months after the rededication of the temple, apparently from some it was a stomach disorder, such as might well suggest the idea of divine stroke. There wasn't no stroke. Let me do this. He shall be broken without hands. The fact of Antiochus Epiphanes dying immediately after a ineffectual attempt to rob a temple in Almaas, and dying not from the effect of wounds received, but from chagrin is symbolized by the statement, the figure of a horn pushing in his direction. Are they going off on this? Jews of Joseph Maccabees. Let me try another one. Cambridge said what it was. They said he suddenly died, but they don't go into detail. Broken without hand by God's special visitation, the stone cut out of the mouth. Nope, that's not talking. They went off on that. That's Daniel 2. That has nothing to do with Antiochus. Antiochus' horrible death by worms and ulcers. Right. Parasite. Candida. Severe candida parasitical overgrowth. Antiochus' horrible death by worms and ulcers. And ulcers is from H. pylori. Look that up. H. pylori is a stomach ulcer. Ulcers come from H. pylori. You got parasites. You got many different parasites. When on his way to Judea, intending to take vengeance for the defeat of his armies by the Maccabees, was a primary fulfillment foreshadowing the Most High's judgments on the last enemy of the Jewish church of that time. Yeah, ulcers come from H. pylori. What cures that is like sauerkraut juice, and I believe horseradish and so forth. Like Esau used to die in ships because of scurvy, and they didn't realize that was a vitamin C deficiency. So that's why they call them limeys, because you eat a lime or orange and you wouldn't get scurvy. So a lot of them died from scurvy. Okay, let me come on down here. But he shall be broken without hands, alluding to his being a horned, especially death manner, hand enemies, assassination, felt, okay, that by the providence of the Most High, divine providence of the Most High, he fell ill of a bad disease, which was a stomach disease. One of the commentators, they said ulcers and parasites. And at the cry of one of his elephants, his chariot was overturned, and he fell on the ground, and his bones were broken of his death and the manner of it in the Apocrypha. So this is First Maccabees 6 and 8. Now the king heard these words and laid down upon his bed and fell sick for grief, because it had not befallen him as he looked for. So that the worms, so this is Second Maccabees 9 and 9. So that the worms rose up out of his body, which is the gut, the GI tract of this wicked man. And he was trying to get, he was very, Most High is the greatest thing. You got to worship the Most High. Oh, Lord, forgive me. He knew about the Lord of Israel. Man, the Lord wasn't hearing his prayers because he's an Edomite. Whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, the flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. Second Maccabees 9 and 9, which was much like that of Harai, which was another Edomite. Acts 12, he died the same way. Parasite overgrowth. And people have that all the time. The food that we're eating, being stricken with a violent disorder in the bowels, the colon, the GI tract. His body covered with worms, because it came out, the Most High overwhelmed him, man. His flesh flaked off and emitted such a stench as was intolerable to the army. He fell from the roof of the house and was broken and died. That's talking about Herod. He made that speech. Oh, the God is speaking. Matter of fact. So, let me come back over here. So he's going off. He said that I looked at the commentary and they say it's Antiochus Epiphanes. It ain't Antiochus Epiphanes. That's a goddamn lie. And I'm gonna show you that you guys taught that it was Antiochus Epiphanes.
Daniel 8, what you just read, so we can see it's talking about the same thing.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. Let me just read the bottom part.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
Without hand. Now go back to Esdras.
2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword.
One has nothing to do with the other. Daniel 8:25 has absolutely nothing to do with 2nd Esdras. What is he reading from? Chapter 13 and 9. Those are two different events. That happened. Daniel 8:25 took place more than 2,000 years ago. 2nd Esdras chapter 13, keep saying 14 in my head, 13 is getting ready to happen when Yahushua comes back. When Yahushua comes back in the ship to destroy this place, it's not the fulfillment of Daniel 8:25.
Nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out.
Then they got this is supposed to be Yahushua, and then they got him blood. There's not going to be blood on Yahushua. You read certain prophetic scriptures and make it the literal. He's going to have blood. He ain't going to have blood on him. He's not going to have a drop of blood. That was a vision. And he's not going to have fire coming out of his mouth. Hey, the scriptures say the simple believeth every word. And like I said in previous videos, ain't nobody, if this man is so great with his words, GMS ain't leaving. Ain't nobody from GMS leaving to go to IUIC. And if you want to, go. Please go. Please do. Don't say nothing. Don't ask me if it's all. Just go. Just go and get you a purple t-shirt and be happy, okay? You don't got to say a damn thing. Just go. The same thing with Sakari. Ain't nobody leaving Sakari. These guys are leaving Sakari. They ain't saying, I'm going to join IUIC now. Because I heard that sermon that Bishop Nathaniel went through, and that's a man of the Lord. And I first knew it when I saw him on that horse. Excuse me.
Out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
That's right.
And they were all mixed together.
So he gonna come down looking like he gonna come down like Godzilla. Excuse me. He gonna come down like Godzilla. The Lord ain't coming down looking like this. He's not gonna have Edomite blood all sprinkled all over him. He's gonna open his mouth, and when it said he opened his mouth and fire came out, it was talking about coming out of the ship. There's lasers out of the ship. So the Lord gonna come back with a nice white garment. You're gonna have Edomite, gonna have guts, brains, gray matter on his garment. Come on, y'all.
The blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, everyone, on a sudden of innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
Y'all see that? From there, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1.
Anyway, let's go to this here. Let me open this up. Okay. Black Rock Plains, Whitney Webb, one of the black being Christians. Let me do this one. Come on now, pop on up. Okay, what's this all about?
This clip I'm about to show you is one of the greatest arguments against black people being Christians that I ever heard. Let's run the clip.
So one of my favorite movies of all time, man, is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, this guy, he said comes a lot of truth come out of him. Matter of fact, let me do this. Okay, let me go to IUIC, Daniel 8. So you heard, for the record, he went to Daniel 8 and 25, and he said the commentary say it's Antiochus Epiphanes. He said it's not. So this is the actual video that we were watching. This is the one I want you to see. Okay, so here we go.
Reading before into Daniel, okay? Time of their kingdom when the
By the way, this was 8 months ago. Let me come back here. So listen.
And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, so Ptolemy was out. Matter of fact, the line of Ptolemy is who Cleopatra came out of. All right, so I know there's been a lot of arguments. Y'all arguing, oh, Cleopatra is that, black woman. Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have dominion of 2 realms. All the black people was gone. It just mean they was running it. All right, remember they took over the whole world, known world at that time. All right. I'm starting back at 16, y'all. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots, elephants, horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death.
Yeah, that's Antiochus coming against the king of the south, which is Egypt.
Okay, we're going to read down to 20. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 140th and 3rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. All right, so let's go back to Daniel. All right. Daniel chapter 8, and we're going to go in verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance. Now, when it says when the transgressors are come to the full, because remember in 1 Maccabees in 1, okay, I'm sorry, let's go right back. And I'm doing this just in case for some of y'all that might be new and y'all didn't know the scripture. For the ones that who know it, and y'all straight. But for the ones who didn't know it, this might be the first time. This is why it says the transgressors. It's already calling them the transgressors. It said when it came to the full. All right. So 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right. So these people brought massive evil to the planet. This is Esau. Okay. That's why I'm saying what it's saying in Daniel. All right. Evils were multiplied in the earth. Right. So let's go right back to Daniel. Okay. And it says, and I'm starting at 23 again, y'all. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come
He's in Daniel chapter 8. Watch what he says.
to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
So when you go back to listen to what the Bishop Nathaniel said, he said, I looked at the commentaries, and the commentary says it's talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, but it's not. It's talking about now.
Antiochus. Okay, we already knew that from reading before. Shall come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. That's Antiochus. Okay, we already.
You heard what he said. He said that's Antiochus. He said that's Antiochus. And which Antiochus? Antiochus Epiphanes. He was the worst out of all the line of the Antiochus. So you heard what the brother said, right? He's reading out of Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. And he said, that's Antiochus. So when you read down to 24, 25, 26, 27, it's talking about, and he shall be taken out without hands. It's talking about Antiochus.
Already knew that from reading before, but now the angel is explaining it to Daniel. Okay, so hold on, I just want to make sure we ain't going. Okay, we're going down to 25. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, right?
Who is he talking about? Antiochus Epiphanes. Bishop Nathaniel said, many scholars, the commentators says Antiochus Epiphanes, but it's not. Well, wait a minute. This was put up 8 months ago. So how did it change so quick? What is it?
Because he had a whole army. Remember, his line was starting from Seleucus. So remember,
it also says, but not by his, he shall destroy wonderfully, but not by his power. What does that mean? That means he's going to hire out armies. The war elephants, that came from Elam. So they took down the Persians, but they hired them to fight their wars, to fight against Israel. That's what it's talking about.
We just read that they put crowns on their heads and their sons after them many years. So this is building up. He got a lot of people with him. All right, he got a real empire. And shall prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Right, and
which are the Israelites. He had the upper hand over them.
So how the destruction was, we read it due to the fact that they destroyed the temple. They started to have us not keep Sabbaths. We couldn't keep the high holy days. You understand what I'm saying? All that was going on. So that's how our people.
Which you guys are IUIC don't even keep the Sabbath, correct?
We were destroyed. Okay. Verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall call.
Through whose policy? Antiochus Epiphanes' policy.
Was craft to prosper in his hand. Right? That's all his policy. Remember the ordinances of his laws. And he shall magnify himself in his mind, in his heart. Right? And by peace shall destroy many, right? Because he's creating peace treaties with other nations. Remember, it said he went smashed out.
By peace he shall destroy many. He would bring peace, and he would go against his word. And this is what Esau does today. They'll come with politicians. They'll come with, back then they came with the missionaries. Then they sent the mercenaries.
Egypt and Ptolemy put Ptolemy to flight. Then he went to the Israelites. He was touching everybody, right? And by peace shall destroy many, because a lot of times it wasn't even about war, right? He would come and just be like, oh yeah, we can make a treaty or whatever, and then just take over. All right, and then have them doing exactly what he wants to do. Same thing like in America. We have all these different cultures, but we all doing what Esau said to do. Okay. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand, right? So He's standing up to God's people. He's standing up to the Lord. That's what it's really saying. Because when you break in...
This brother's breaking it down the right way. Bishop Nathaniel's breaking it down completely different. He equated it with Revelation chapter 13. He said it. You watched the video. He broke it down wrong. 8 months ago, they broke it down the right way. Why would he change it? Why would Bishop Nathaniel change it? From 8 months ago.
keeping us from keeping the commandments and all that, you going against God. And what does it say here? And shall be broken without hand. That's what I want. Let's go to First Maccabees 6, y'all. First Maccabees.
So I don't have to go into anything, but my point was proven. You heard what Bishop Nathaniel said, and then you watch this video right now, which was put up not even a year ago. He's saying something completely different. So is that order? Like I said, they say a lot of good things, but they go off. And when do we get on? They get mad when we get on them. We get on you because you're going off. I'm not saying, look, brother, you guys are going off, because that's not how the 12 tribes is written. I ain't saying that. I'm not saying, oh, no, you guys are going off because the Lord ain't really coming back. Michael's coming back. No, I'm not saying that. We get on you because you go off. And we just proved that this is the receipt right here. Past Saturday, you taught it one way. 8 months ago, IUIC taught it a different way, which is the right way. You have enough sense enough to go back to your videos and say, oh, let me take this one down. So anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next one. Shalom.